You're watching Mugen TV RPG Haven. Experience a fantasy like no other.
Hey guys, it's MugenLord here, and I'm back again with another video. And today we're going to talk about Square Enix, and I guess you could say some information regarding a particular franchise that has never been heard from in a long time, and that's Parasite Eve. Now, why I mentioned about Parasite Eve, because it's very interesting, because recently Kitase and just the development team behind the Final Fantasy VII Remake has been asked questions regarding Parasite Eve and his interest in wanting to revisit that. And I think that'd be pretty interesting that we could get a possibility of a remake to Parasite Eve. So we're going to dive into this article, because this was a particular franchise that I have never got a chance to really play during that time, because there was so many other franchises and other game releases, especially me being a kid at the time. You get to pick and choose what game you wanted to your parents to buy and everything. So it was Parasite Eve I always overlooked for other games. So we're going to dive into it, because from Game Ramp it says Final Fantasy VII Remake producer gives hope for a new Parasite Eve game. So Final Fantasy VII Remake producer Yoshinori Kitase gives hopes to fans of the Square Enix survival horror RPG hybrid series Parasite Eve. Now, Square recently uploaded a new video to YouTube featuring All Elite Wrestling star Kenny Omega interviewing game producer Yoshinori Kitase, who was the director of the original Final Fantasy VII and is serving as producer of the upcoming Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, during the interview, Omega asked some questions about Square Enix franchise, asking Kitase directly about the dormant survival horror action RPG series Parasite Eve. And this is what gets me. I'm like really hyped about this right about now. Like, you don't understand, like, if this becomes a possibility, I think this would be pretty cool. Now, during the interview, Omega pointed out how Kitase was a producer for the PSP game The Third Birthday, which launched all the way back in 2010 as a PSP exclusive. Omega asked Kitase if he would like to see more Parasite Eve games in the future, to which Kitase responded, "The characters are very deep and rich, especially Aya Bria. I don't know any plans right now, but it would be a waste not to use those characters again." So, while some fans are disappointed to learn that a new Parasite Eve game is apparently not in active development, at least to Kitase's knowledge, his acknowledgement that it would be a waste to not use the characters should give fans hope. Whether a new Parasite Eve game came in the form of a remake or a brand new entry remains to be seen, but it's safe to say that fans will be happy with either possibilities. Now, the thing about this is, which is another thing, Kitase comments in the interview aren't the first signs that Square Enix hasn't completely abandoned Parasite Eve franchise. Last year, Square Enix renewed the Parasite Eve trademark in Europe, and while companies do all the time to protect their IP, it could very well be a sign it plans on releasing a new game in the series at some point down the line. Now, there are also Parasite Eve Easter eggs hidden in Final Fantasy VII Remake E3 trailer from 2015, which could be taken as another sign that Square Enix has plans for the franchise in some capacity. However, it's worth pointing out that the Final Fantasy VII Remake has changed dramatically from its original version, so it's quite possible that Parasite Eve reference has been removed. Final Fantasy VII Remake launches in just a month away, so fans will be able to just jump into it to search for the Parasite Eve Easter egg. Now, the thing about Parasite Eve, which I thought was pretty unique for its time, was the fact that we was on the crux of the survival horror genre, and Capcom was leading the charge with the whole Resident Evil franchise. And just like any other company, other companies always try to jump on the waves of of certain popular genres or whatever's trending at the time and at the moment, and survival horror was one of those things that everyone was pretty much really into at the time, and especially with Resident Evil. So Square Enix also had tried to dabble in the survival horror, but with their own twist to it, which I also thought was pretty interesting, was because what they done with Parasite Eve was take the survival horror genre, and especially took like that aspect of Resident Evil, and mix it with Final Fantasy with its RPG mechanics, and it's kind of like active turn-based type of mechanics to it. So it's Resident Evil meets Final Fantasy, which I thought was really unique at the time. And it was sadly that I never really had the opportunity to actually give the game a try. And the thing is, what I also learned and discovered is that there was a lot of features that didn't make it into Final Fantasy VII, and instead they put it into Parasite Eve. Now, Parasite Eve takes place in New York City. There was plans that instead that Final Fantasy VII was supposed to be in a Neo type of New York City at the time, Final Fantasy VII, but they didn't take that direction and decided instead to give it to Parasite Eve instead. And there was other gameplay mechanics that they couldn't utilize because of time constraints and stuff, and they end up giving it to Parasite Eve. And you can look at the visuals and look at the pre-rendered backgrounds that it does have that Final Fantasy VII look with a mixture of, you know, Resident Evil sometimes, and how the character models look similar to Final Fantasy VIII in a way as well. But it was a type of game that I never had the chance to really get into. And for those of you who don't know, Parasite Eve is based off of a novel. And the thing is, Square Enix at the time, the reason why we haven't seen the franchise in a while, and the reason why the third birthday hasn't received as much respect as the first two games, was for the simple fact is that they pretty much have lost the rights or didn't renew the rights to Parasite Eve at one point, the actual story to Parasite Eve. So the third birthday, they had to do a lot of changes to the characters. I believe even changed the character design, the name, and a few other things to the characters, which pretty much became a whole entirely different game altogether. So it did pretty much disappoint the fans. It didn't live up to what the last two previous two games had done for the series altogether with its fan base. But in hopes of getting a remake, which looking at Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I love that game to death, and from when I played in the demo and the liberties they took to bring the characters to life in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I would love to see what they do with a Parasite Eve remake in the same vein that they done with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think that'd be pretty cool. Especially with the visuals of New York City. You add those RPG elements in it, add that survival horror aspects into it, and I think Square Enix has, especially when it comes to bringing characters to life and making and adding realism to their character models and environments. You're giving them a shot to do something like that would be pretty cool. And not only that, if they can somehow get Capcom on board or get someone who has that survival horror type of mentality and interweave that with, you know, the geniusness of storytelling and, you know, the RPG aspects of, you know, what some of the developers does at Square Enix, I think we'll have a very competent product and something that I believe that fans of Parasite Eve would definitely enjoy, and also will bring in those fans of survival horror in general, especially those who are new to the Resident Evil 2 remake and the upcoming Resident Evil 3 remake. So fans who are looking for that itch, for that survival horror itch, would like to jump onto that wave if this actually become a possibility. But that pretty much sums up this video. There's not really much to go off of from the fact is that Kitase said that he would be interested, and it would be a shame for them not to use any of the characters or the property in general. And the fact is that they had pretty much renewed the trademark for Parasite Eve is very telling as well. So we could possibly see something sometime in the near future, probably next gen or something like that, which I think would be a good idea. And it seems like Square Enix is doing the best and taking liberties to revive a lot of old franchises. We do have Trials of Mana remake coming to the Nintendo Switch, PC, and the PS4, which I'm getting it for the Nintendo Switch. But the fact is that they're going out their way to remake some of these older franchises and reviving them. I'll definitely have to see what they'll do, if they'll bring back Chrono Trigger, if they completely reboot Front Mission and a couple other franchises like Threads of Fate and things like that. I think that would be pretty cool. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. Are you a fan of Parasite Eve? Have you ever played it? What do you think about the original? And do you think it's a good idea for them to remake that? Also, if you like the video, share it, pass it around, and subscribe. And also, you want to hear more news regarding Square Enix and Parasite Eve and Final Fantasy, definitely hit the bell to be notified. This is MugenLord signing off. See you Game Fiends later. Peace out. It looks like you reached the end of the video. Well, while you're at it, check out some of my other discussion videos by clicking on the annotations below, and don't forget to follow me on other social media platforms to stay up to date with future content. Signing off.